What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. We've got Hot Toys, Darth Revan, blogger photos. The release of this character is finally here, and you can see I'm totally getting in the mood for this character to be in the collection. I can't wait to talk about this figure, guys, so stick around. If you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to The Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
Oh, pardon me, but it's
Ben Thomas Showtime. Let's go.
Okay, guys, so there's a few things that I want to talk about before we talk about the figure specifically, and I mean, that goes to Revan and the release schedule here as well. It's amazing. We saw this back in April of 2024, which means this was a 6 to 7 month turnaround from proto showing to actual blogger release photos. Now, some of us will still probably not get this for about another month, maybe, especially if you got it from Sideshow, but that's okay. Like, that's still an incredibly fast turnaround, especially when a lot of figures out there go the 1 to 2 year range from Hot Toys, and as collectors, we've come to kind of expect that for the most part. And when it comes this fast, it's like, man, I feel like most of us were just talking about this. It's amazing how fast 6 to 7 months can go by. Now, that's not a complaint by any stretch. The only challenge that I would have there is I know some of you collectors out there who maybe aren't excited for Revan today are going to be like, hey, well, where the heck is my other figure X, Y, and Z? I know, the Marvel Spider-Man 2 video game Venom, for example. People have been expecting that. I'm shocked we haven't got that already, considering it's essentially a recreation of the old past bodies we've seen. But all of that being said, Revan is here, and as you can tell, I'm really excited. For me, this character was really made popular by the old video games, the Shadow of Revan or the Old Republic or the Knights of the Old Republic game. I think one of the things that I loved about this character in particular were a few things. His power was insane. In fact, at one point he was described as being essentially pure Force power. He could do virtually everything. I mean, he can do everything from teleportation. He can not just create force lightning. He can actually create entire lightning storms. It's insane. His ability of telekinesis is so wild that he can actually hurtle asteroids at people if he wants to. That's how strong and powerful he is. He could even essentially crush the insides of his opponents just from force crush. Actually, he also made the Force Choke very popular, even though I think Darth Vader gets most of the credit for that kind of iconography of the Force Choke, right? But Revan was so powerful and awesome that I'm shocked he hasn't got his own live-action show or had an appearance in a live-action film yet. Like, it's actually devastating. But I think it will come eventually, because over the years, it went from being, who the hell is Darth Revan, to Darth Revan's one of my favorite characters, and how can we not want them? Those older games, while they're still fun, they don't hold up to nowadays graphics and all of that. But one of the things that I loved about those old games is that it was one of the first times I'd felt like I had the power of choice in my character. I wasn't just following the character storyline set out for me in the game. You actually made impactful choices that would change the outcome of your story, and I really liked that. It made me feel like I was Revan. And so for me, having this Hot Toys in the collection, it takes me right back to how I felt being that powerful character within the game, and I think that for me is where the nostalgic button really hits. Now let's take a look at this figure, because this figure looks pretty freaking good. At first, my very first reaction was, is the tailoring worse? Because it does look a little bit puffier, a little bit more baggy, but when I compared it to the prototype photos, to be honest, it looks pretty much exactly the same. I think the only critical feeling that I have here is that the hood does look like it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. I've had hoods like this before that just won't really lay flat. You have to really kind of push it down, or even use sometimes a little bit of stick tack or blue tack inside the hood so that you can actually press it down to the top of the character head, which does help. That's what I did for my Darth Maul, and that changed the game with regards to his head up. Now, of course, Darth Maul also had the spikes on his head. I don't think that this will have quite the same issue, but I do see it here. As you can see in some of these blogger photos, it does look a little bit loose and baggy. I do think, though, that the metallic paint application that they've used on both the boots and some of the armor pieces looks really, really good. We talk about powerful, wielding, Force user, right? Sometimes he was Sith, sometimes he was Jedi. He definitely was somewhere in between at times, and that's something that I liked about him because he wasn't so stuck in his ways. But he was so powerful even with the force of telekinesis that he could essentially throw his lightsabers and they would go around a battlefield like a whirling helicopter blade. And you can see it even in this photo here. They've recreated that look where he's like holding the sabers up. That looks freaking awesome, guys. Now, I guess the only other critical aspect that I have with regards to Hot Toys, not even this figure specifically, is that they have made improvements with the lightsaber technology, especially for the ones that are USB powered, but they're still not this bright. And when we see these blogger photos, they've clearly been edited, folks. So if you happen to be a new collector and you're watching this, these lightsabers will not look this bright when you get them in your collection. Will they still look cool? 100%. But they won't be this bright. I do really hope that with Hot Toys just kind of improving their game across the board, whether that's artisan, whether it's rolling eyes, whether it's paint applications, leather accoutrements, or whatever it is, I really hope that they start to look at the lightsaber technology and really figure out a way to dial that in, because there are other companies out there who do help make lightsabers quite a bit brighter, but also quite a bit warmer, risk burning, things in your collections. You gotta be a little bit careful with that as well. For me, I've never gone off brand in terms of lightsaber. I've thought about it before. I've typically kept my Hot Toys ones kind of either in the box or turned off, but it's a lightsaber. They need to be turned on to really get that impact, in my opinion. So I want to pose the question back to you guys. What are your thoughts here on the release of Darth Revan? Is this the first time maybe you've even heard of this character? Or are you like me? Do you have that nostalgic punch in the chest from playing this character back in the day? What are your wish list characters to tag along with a Revan? We might only get Revan here. We did see the Starkiller get a pre-order window put up at about the same time, but I wouldn't call him a pairing necessarily with this particular character. So what other characters in the universe would you like to see from Knights of the Old Republic, or the Old Republic, of course, the Revan series? So I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below here. But I wanted to keep this one short. I just wanted you guys to see how excited I am that how quickly this guy came. He is going to be one heck of a cool shelf presence and one of the most powerful Force users of all time. If you want a true representation of a Sith or Jedi or just raw Force power, it's hard not to have this guy in the collection. But not to enable you guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But if you liked the video today, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.